When we think of betrayal, we usually picture something loud: a broken promise, a spilled secret, a stab in the back. But the most common form of betrayal in our lives doesn't explode. It fractures quietly, under the guise of everyday manners. Every true friendship relies on an unwritten contract. We agree to create a safe harbor for each other, a space designed specifically to lighten the heavy burdens of life and provide emotional security. But when chronic negativity enters that space, it violates the core terms of the agreement. Instead of finding relief, one person is left completely drained. This hidden betrayal actually operates in two completely opposite directions. On one side, you have the loud, exhausting friction of the active drain. On the other, the total, suffocating silence of passive silence. Tolerating either of these extremes doesn't preserve the peace. It slowly hollows out the relationship from the inside until nothing remains but obligation. The active drain is a person locked in a perpetual state of crisis. They complain about the same obstacles, criticize their colleagues, and recycle the same grievances, without ever taking steps to resolve them. You might spend hours on the phone listening to these loops, only to hang up feeling mentally fogged and physically exhausted. When your headspace is constantly occupied by someone else's unfixable problems, they are effectively stealing your time, your energy, and your ability to be present in your own life. Subconsciously, this behavior is rarely about the problems themselves. It is often a distorted plea for attention, or a way to project unmanaged stress onto a friend so the person doesn't have to carry the weight of their own choices. The damage hits hardest when you try to move forward. Exactly when you need a push of courage or momentum for your own goals, their pervasive pessimism acts as a gravity well, pulling you back into their cycle of doubt. By functioning as a heavy anchor instead of a propellant, the chronic complainer abandons the central purpose of a supportive ally. They make the journey of life heavier, not lighter. Then there is the opposite extreme. This is the friend who watches you head toward a mistake, or notices a pattern in your behavior that is hurting your reputation, and chooses to stay completely silent. Choosing silence in these moments is an act of psychological cowardice. Staying quiet to avoid an awkward afternoon is a calculation that prioritizes your own comfort over your friend's long-term growth. You are essentially letting them continue down a failing path because you don't want to handle the tension of a difficult conversation. This creates a cycle of toxic accumulation. The unspoken problem doesn't go away. Instead, frustration is internalized, building invisible pressure. That pressure eventually needs an exit. Hidden resentment mounts until a completely trivial event triggers a massive, disproportionate explosion. Withholding the truth to be nice is a secret insult to your friend's maturity. It suggests you don't trust them to handle reality, and it replaces a solid foundation with a fragile illusion. The most valuable version of a friend is the one who reflects the world as it actually is. They offer hard truths specifically to protect you and guide you, acting as a check against your own blind spots. Repairing the damage of both active draining and passive silence requires a shift in how you communicate. It starts with moving away from comfort and toward clarity. To stop the active drain, you must establish strict boundaries. This means clearly communicating that you can no longer be a receptacle for solutionless complaints. You can offer to help them brainstorm a fix, but you must decline the invitation to simply absorb their stress. When speaking an uncomfortable truth, timing is everything. Wait for a calm environment and lead by affirming the value of the relationship. Use I statements, such as, "I feel drained when we focus only on these grievances," to keep the conversation centered on the health of the connection, rather than making an accusation. If someone reacts with anger to a truth told with genuine care,
They are signaling that they prefer a comfortable illusion over a real connection. A true friend is always willing to risk the temporary peace of the relationship to help you become a better version of yourself.